Liquid Death sells water in a beer can, and today it is valued at over $1 billion. You might think this is a novelty gimmick, but what they've built is a world-class marketing machine built by a surprising branding strategy. In this video, we will reverse engineer their growth playbook and really simplify the answer to the question that we're all asking. How did they do this? Let's start by looking at some financials. According to their most recent public numbers, Liquid Death sales were up 100% from 2022 to 2023, growing from 110 to 263 million. And the following year after that, they pushed it to more than 333 million US dollars in just a few short years. It even has some celebrity investors: Swedish House Mafia, Machine Gun Kelly, Gary Vee, Whitney Cummings, and the word on the internet is that they are heading for an IPO. But what's really crazy is that they are spending 12% of their revenue on marketing. That means they're dishing out $40 million a year. That sounds like a massive number, but that is a great deal for almost any business. Reinvesting 12% of their revenue and have this repeated massive annual growth rate. That's a deal that I would take any day of the week. Okay, I assume I have your attention, and I assume you also want to know what exactly they did. We're going to dive into all their little secrets and break down their marketing into these 5 key areas: their website and value proposition, their content, SEO and organic search, their brand defense, their social and paid creatives, and finally their PR stunts and community. And there's some surprises in there that I didn't expect. Oh, and after all that, I'm going to break down exactly what they aren't quite getting right and what we as small business owners can actually take away from this without needing a bunch of Tony Hawk's money. Starting with website and value proposition. Your website is the conversion funnel. Yes, they sell a lot in retail, but this is where all that paid, earned, and stunt-focused traffic needs to turn into money or gets completely wasted. So let's see what Liquid Death got right. The value proposition isn't the actual product because it's water. And in fact, it's not even special water like you think it would be. Liquid Death admits that it's not some fancy spring in the Tibetan mountains where all the water is blessed by monks. It's just the same as any other water. So how have they made this water so desirable? Well, it's all through their brand. Their brand is their value proposition. Let's start with the packaging. So the can. The can's aesthetic is, it could be a beer can, it could be an energy drink. It's got goth, heavy metal, skater vibes about it. It's a water brand that immediately shouts rebellion, right? It even says on the can, "Murder your thirst." You're not going to forget that one anytime quick. It's one of those products that instantly becomes a statement piece on your desk or in your hand, wherever you are. And looking beyond the can itself, the merch, which is actually quite a large part of their business, but we'll get into that a little later, it feels like something that's from an old skate brand in the noughties and 90s. And I think that perfectly matches the type of people that I actually see drinking Liquid Death. It's an age where they're too old to skate, but they still appreciate the culture around it. So anything past 27? It's disgusting that I'm turning 30 this month, and that joke is directed right at me. And that actually might be why I have been eyeing up the Liquid Death kimono. They understand me. Right, onto their website. And as always, it's about simplistic function while still using all the tools they had in their arsenal to create the brand's punk vibe. Jumping into the homepage, there's no over-explaining it. They're just assuming that we, as the audience, get the joke already. It's water, that is all it is. When you dive into the product page, they're not exactly revolutionary, but they're still clean and expensive feeling, and they are really leaning into the packaging by exploding the images up, making it a huge center focus of each product page. They go on to show some of their brand values, so the recycling piece, because what's more punk than recycling? But it is something their audience actually cares about. And when we look into the mobile version, again, product images absolutely dominate the product page. I think it looks much better on mobile than it does on desktop, so it's clear that they've optimized for that. Essentially throughout, there's nothing trying to add any thrills in terms of design or fancy functions. It's water with a fun can, and it feels like that's kind of the ethos they were going for on their website as well. It is functional and it does the thing, but it looks nice in the areas that doesn't detract from that. So a quick takeaway for us founders: if you're building big traffic, do not overcomplicate your digital funnel. It's so tempting to think, oh, this hasn't quite worked how I wanted. How about we add an extra step? But every click between them and their purchase reduces traffic by an average of 16%. So it almost always pays to remove rather than add. Okay, moving on to content, SEO, and organic search. Liquid Death used some of their virality from their stunts, but actually backed it up with the SEO content to capture all that interest and move people to a conversion. Let's see exactly how they did this. So their content pillars. Yes, they went into blog and journal pages all about their sustainability and the culture events they're at, but they even started to build something that I guess you could call brand lore, as if the world of Liquid Death is something for you to actually explore. There's products and flavor pages with all sorts of variants, feature reviews and FAQs, just as you would expect on a product page. But they've even got a section on their website called Time Waster 5000, which is just a long list of videos of all the skits that very famous faces have been involved with. This keeps viewers on the page for a very long period of time, keeps them engaging. If we look a little more into their strategic SEO, yes, we could talk about their use of long tail keywords, but I just think it's so much more powerful that they've blended their SEO with their PR efforts to build brand and domain authority. But that section's coming up a little later. You can see just how many backlinks and domain referrals they are getting. They get pickups in music, magazines, extreme sports, any sort of culture-related publications. And then they embed those branded press pages to drive the PR. So let's talk about traffic going to their actual site. Obviously, it's in the tens of thousands every single month, with the US taking the lion's share of the visitors. A quick founder takeaway here. I think this is evidence that your content should serve two roles. So yes, you need to build authority, and you need that content to funnel real humans into actual product conversion. I just see too many founders treating their content as a blog and cramming so many keywords in there, but not really thinking what happens after real humans actually read this and what actions and behaviors they take when they're done. Okay, let's talk about their search and their shopping, but more specifically, brand defense. If people type your name into any search engine, you need to win that real estate. And Liquid Death obviously knows this. This is when companies bid on their own name or any variation or typo of their own name to ensure that competitors don't show up above their site on the rankings. I'm sure you've seen this all the time. Another great tactic that I saw they were using is that they are targeting retail terms. So things like Liquid Death Walmart, Liquid Death Target. If you think about it, these are the people who are actually trying to purchase and want as little clicks as possible. They just want to purchase the product. So I'm sure they're getting pretty healthy ROAS on that. When you look on the search results, we've got all sorts of high domain authority marketplaces and platforms, so that whatever angle you come in from, you're not really going to be seeing much else. And from the search ad creatives that I can find, it's simple, it's benefit driven when talking about their flavored drinks rather than the water. Zero sugar, killer taste, delivered to you kind of headlines. And complete punk brand consistency through all URLs, throughout all creatives, and throughout all copy. So from this very successful form of marketing that they've been running, as a founder, we should be thinking about brand defense a little bit more. Bidding on your own name defends your funnel, and yes, they were literally looking for you, but customers are less loyal nowadays with so many options in the marketplace. Okay, moving on. Social, video, and paid creative. This is where they really start shining. Their ad creatives are unexpected and attention-grabbing, and I didn't really need to do much research in this section because I can already remember which Liquid Death ads interested me. But what I want to start with is their user-generated content and their meme-style content. They've got tons of short joke clips and user reactions and memes, and they're very good at remix culture, so people creating content for them and then them adding to it and resharing it. So I'm not even sure when I'm scrolling down my feed whether I'm watching a meme or whether I'm watching an ad, which is obviously a win for them. But let's talk about their actual paid ads. The highest spend creatives usually involve some sort of famous face. It's polished and it's cinematic, but it's still got the edgy brand feeling. It doesn't lose any of that character that Liquid Death has. And having flicked through hundreds of content pieces for this research, I think it's fair to say that in this possession, I would have started by testing some low-cost UGC just to see which format works well with our exact audience. And then I would have taken the winners and scaled them into something a bit higher production value. Launch that and then obviously A/B test a bunch of variations, durations, etc. I think founders find it very interesting because I get this question a lot. Which marketing platforms should I be focusing on? So YouTube is quite a big one for Liquid Death because of all their high quality content, the slightly longer scenes in their skits. And obviously a brand who is spending 40 million a year on marketing is on pretty much every single platform. But their work and their brand leans heavily into video-based output. So written content isn't their main focus in any way. It's going to be short TikTok style, Instagram Reel style clips. So what do I think that we should copy from this section? I love the fact that we can go from UGC to actual produced content. So don't be afraid to take somebody's idea, somebody's format that they've given to you for free and they would love to be involved, and turn that into something nice and polished, worthy of your brand's quality. Number 5, PR, stunts, and community. Now I've saved the best for last on this one, and I've been mentioning it the whole way through because it is really what defines this entire marketing approach. In my opinion, the main reason that Liquid Death can sell such overpriced water is because of their stunts and how they use these to really throw petrol on the fire of the media buzz. My personal favourite stunt is the jet. This stunt is a joke on that stupid thing that happened years ago, was it in the 80s, something around that, where a company pretended to have a jet to give away as a prize. But some guy took it very seriously and took them to court and claimed it was false advertising after he won and he really wanted to claim a jet. And they offered him tons of money. They even offered him how much money it would cost to get a jet, and he denied. So they had to give him a jet. They also made a stupid Netflix documentary on it, which is the most money-grabbing, awful TV I have ever watched. We don't need a 12-part series on how a man won a giveaway and wanted a jet, and they didn't want to give him a jet, and so he said, "Can I have a jet?" And they said no, and it's ridiculous. Anyway, some other stunts. Tony Hawk's blood-painted skateboard deck, which I read only cost him about $10,000. Bargain. Tons of festival activations, skateboard-related collabs and giveaways, and limited merch drops tied to the strangest of industries. I think I saw one where they collabed with a skincare brand. And moving on to the aspect of community, this is where the merch really becomes a big part of it and actually becomes a growth engine. Hoodies, caps, can sleeves, that kimono I want. It's the merch that allows brand loyalists to actually absorb it into their identity, into their everyday life, and walk around with adverts on their back. If you're sober or an ex-skater or a punk rocker that cares about hydration and goes to yoga now, Liquid Death will fill your wardrobe. So this community aspect started with the stunts. It led into how wild it is that they just sell water in a can. And then that moved into people's identities and a $1 billion valuation. So what can we do as small business owners that don't have $40 million a year to spend on it? We could aim for a stunt every 6 months. The good thing about stunts is that they're really fun to do, or at least I find them fun to do. As long as you don't take them too seriously and you do actually try to enjoy yourself. Essentially, don't allocate the remaining section of your marketing budget, otherwise it's going to be too stressful and it's not going to work exactly how you want because stunts don't always, and then you'll never want to do them again. So make sure that you have some bonus money in the budget, or just make your stunt real cheap, because creativity is actually more important than the money in this exact context. Now, the section that you've all been waiting for, what do they actually struggle with? Even Liquid Death has cracks, and I don't want you to copy everything they do because it's not quite perfect. I mentioned earlier their YouTube channel. Well, their consistency is all off. There's very high production brand videos, but there's lower organic growth than expected because they only post these if and when. Maybe they could start a YouTube series where they did behind the scenes of each stunt. I think most people who know about the stunt would be interested to know how they made it, or maybe just see the team having fun and enjoying the process. Something else they struggle with, maybe not call it struggle, is the over-reliance on the brand humor, because not everybody actually gets the joke. In fact, I was very confused about Liquid Death for quite a while when it first came out. You can tell from the common internet searches that a lot of people are asking what the hell is in this can. But I don't want to say that they struggle with it too much, because arguably at the exact same time, this is one of the reasons that it became viral in the first place. It's a conversation starter. I'm sure I've had many conversations with my friends about what is liquid death, what is this, it is literally water in a can. And if they explain that nice and clearly at the start, then we would all just say, oh, that's a stupid product, and move on. And I'm sure internally it's not really a marketing thing, but one of their major problems that they've had is that they have gone heavy into the retail side of things, which is going to absolutely eat into their margins. It's one of those decisions that you feel like you absolutely have to make, and then you realize 5 years later that maybe you didn't need to make it, and the operations have become extremely complex, and you're not making as much money and margin as you used to. It's not one to be taken lightly. But here's the twist that most founders actually skip. Their growth doesn't scale unless they have repeat buyers and strong retention. Without this, no stunt or ad will actually pump money in your direction. So if you want to learn how to master that, you can watch this video here. Let's continue our conversation over there.